Today I'm going to show you how to make this fabulous brownie peanut butter cake. So it's 3 chocolate brownie layers. In the middle is a peanut butter frosting with crushed peanut butter cups, homemade of course. And then on the outside you have this beautiful striped effect using peanut butter and chocolate frostings with peanut butter cups and extra frosting on top. Hope you enjoy! I'm super excited for this. I'm obsessed with chocolate and peanut butter together. Ever since I made those brownies a couple weeks ago, I can't get enough. So today we're going to be making a chocolate brownie cake with peanut butter and chocolate frosting. Let's get started. I'm just going to make the cake base first. So we have 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate that I just chopped up. We'll add that to a big microwave safe bowl along with a stick of butter. And then I'm going to microwave this for 60 seconds and then stir it. And then if it needs more time, we'll do it in 30-second increments. So this is what it looks like after 60 seconds in the microwave. So I'm just going to give it a little stir. See if we can't get it to melt. You just want to mix it until it's smooth. Alright, so as you can see, I was able to stir out all of the lumps. We're just left with this nice shiny chocolate. So next step is we're going to add in our sugar. So 1 cup of granulated sugar and 2/3 cup of brown sugar. And we're going to whisk that in. Yum! Okay, that's perfect. So I'm just going to set this aside. So dry ingredients, I think it's about 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour. So 95 grams. A little more than 3/4 cup of cocoa powder. I'm just using natural cocoa powder this time since we have all that really beautiful melted chocolate. I did not use the Dutch process, so this is just plain cocoa powder. 85 grams. So next I have 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Get all that in there. So I'm just going to give these dry ingredients a quick stir. I'm just going to set the dry ingredients aside now. Go back to our wet. This cake gets its structure really from eggs, and so we're going to do 5 room temperature eggs. We're just going to whisk them in one at a time. Get your little arm workout in, since you can't go to the gym. They're so much easier to incorporate when they're room temperature rather than when they're cold. I love it. Alright, so our eggs are all in. So we're going to add 1/2 cup of vegetable oil along with a teaspoon of vanilla. Look at that all mixed. So we're going to sift in our dry ingredients. I'll do probably about 1/2 at a time just to make sure that it doesn't get too hard to fold in. If you have any little bits at the bottom of your sifter, you can just press them through with your spatula. We don't want to waste any of that. I'm going to fold that in. So the first half is all folded in, so we'll go ahead and do the rest. Same thing, we'll just press these guys through. Okay. And then continue folding. It smells so good in here. So chocolatey. Delicious. Now we're going to split it between 3 pans. I'm a little anal, so I like to weigh all of my pans and make sure they all have the exact same amount. So I'll grab the scale. It's always fun when you make a cake for yourself. So these are going to bake at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes. Put them in the oven. Alright, so I just pulled these out from the oven. They look beautiful. And I'm going to try to tip them out. So first, I'm going to run a knife around the edges. They just look like brownies, and I've been craving brownies for the last week since I ate all mine, and I'm so excited. Our first guy. Woo! Look at that parchment paper for the win. Let them cool to room temperature or colder, and then we'll decorate. Beautiful cakes are cooling. They're almost cooled all the way, so I'm going to start on the buttercream. For this cake, we're going to get fancy and make 2 different types of frosting. So I'm going to start right now with the peanut butter one. You start with 1 cup of softened butter. So our butter is nice and light and fluffy. So we're gonna go and add a cup of peanut butter. It's better not to use natural peanut butter for frosting recipes, or it'll be grainy and the oil in it sort of separates. So I'm just using Skippy. And then same thing, we're just gonna beat it again until it's all incorporated. You'll have to stop and scrape it down too. So I have 2 1/4 cups of powdered sugar, or 260 grams in here. And while the mixer's on like really low stir speed, I'm just gonna pour in about half of it, along with a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Back down to stir speed, and I'm gonna pour the rest of the powdered sugar in. Just gonna scrape the sides down, make sure there's no peanut butter stuck anywhere. Whip it a final time, and then we're ready to frost. I, of course, made my own peanut butter cups, and I'm gonna decorate the cake with them, but I'm also gonna chop up a few and put them in the middle in cake layers. If you're interested in the recipe for these, they're super easy, and I have the recipe up on my blog from Father's Day. Put a little dollop on your cake board. Get your first cake layer, squish it right in the middle. Then we're just gonna pipe a layer of frosting. All right, and then we're just gonna smooth that out. An even layer. I'm gonna add about half of the peanut butter cups. Yum. So give a nice little texture in there too. And we're gonna top it off with our second cake layer. Push it in there a little bit. And make sure to line it up. Smooth this one out. Do the rest of the peanut butter cups. And then we're gonna top it with our final layer. I like to do it upside down, that way this is totally flat for the top and it's easier to get flat cake top. Okay, now we're just gonna crumb coat the cake. So we're just gonna put a thin layer of icing all over to keep the crumbs in. And then we'll smooth it out with our bench scraper. And then you can just go through and fill in any of the holes that you have with the extra stuff that you just scraped off. And go around again till it's smooth. I got the sides pretty smooth, and then I'm just gonna do a quick layer on the top. My husband says I take too long, I'm too perfect on my crumb coat. But honestly, I think it's easier to perfect the outer layer if you get a really good, nice crumb coat. Just gonna fill in this little gap. Before we do the next layer of frosting, we want the cake to be pretty chilled. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in the fridge for 15 or 20 minutes. The cake is cooled down. The next step is we're gonna do a nice, thick, even layer of the peanut butter frosting everywhere. You wanna make this a little thicker than you usually would, just because when we do the stripes, we're gonna be wiping some of it away. And you don't want to wipe down too far. We'll just smooth this out a little bit and then go with our bench scraper to get it nice. So we'll go around and smooth it out. And then you can go ahead and take this extra buttercream you just wiped off and use it to fill in any areas of bubbles or any areas that are bare. And it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth because you're going to be using the stripes to put divots in and messing it up and then scraping it all off anyway. So just get it pretty even, but it doesn't have to be totally smooth. So I like to use my angled spatula for this and just try to get it first in an even layer on the top if you can. This is the part that I still struggle with the most. It takes me the most time, but just keep at it. If you see spots that have less, just fill in. And sometimes when the buttercream is cooler or colder, it's easier to get the straight lines on top. So you can let it cool and then scrape some of it off. So then what we're gonna do is try to pull in from the outside. So we'll start at the outer edge and pull in towards the middle. Start at the outer edge and pull in. And I like to wipe off every time just to make sure I'm starting with a clean spatula. That's why starting with level cakes is super important, because it makes this process much easier. And it's probably gonna get messed up when I do the comb, so I'm just gonna leave it right there. So I'm gonna use this acrylic bench scraper this time, or cake comb, to make the stripes. They're a little bit thicker than the other tool I have, so it just depends on what size of stripes you're going for. Basically, we're gonna hold it perpendicular to the cake, keeping it totally level and moving it around. And this will actually go into the frosting and pull out the frosting, creating divots that will then fill in with the chocolate buttercream. And go in and around. Same thing, and you'll go around a few times, so don't worry about it if it's not all even at first. You'll scrape off more and more as you go, and you want to just continue until you have an even depth. So we almost got the divots even all the way around. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. We got even divots. It's gonna look messy, that's fine. We got even divots all the way around. So this time you're gonna chill the cake really well. I would do it at least for 30 minutes to 60 minutes because you want it nice and cold when you add the chocolate buttercream. Cake is in the freezer right now chilling, so I'm just gonna work on our chocolate buttercream. So 1 stick of butter. Same thing, we're just gonna cream it really well. Now we're gonna add half the powdered sugar, 1 1/4 cups total. So I'll add half of that now. And we'll just start it on stir and add the vanilla. Just gonna add about half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then once that's mixed a little bit, we'll turn it up and whip it. And add the rest of the powdered sugar and the cocoa powder. Just gonna do about 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, since we just have a little amount of frosting. So cake is out of the freezer, it's nice and cold. We're gonna take our chocolate buttercream. I just put it into a bag with a round nozzle piping tip. And we're just gonna go around the divots of the cake and pipe in there. Don't worry if you get outside of the line a little bit. We're gonna be scraping all the top layer off. Try to apply nice even pressure and then just move your way up. So if you want, you can even just hold the bag with direct pressure and then add a little bit more. And then move just the turntable. Trust me, it's gonna look horrible at first. It'll just keep on scraping. Right now we're just pushing that frosting into that divot all the way and wipe off your extra. Every time you go around, then wipe off your extra. So just keep on scraping. The more you scrape, the cleaner it'll look. Just a couple more passes and we'll be there. I feel like Dory. Just keep scraping, just keep scraping. This is where being a perfectionist comes and bites you in the butt. It takes forever, but it's very satisfying in the end when you get it. Now we're gonna work on the top, put it in the freezer for about 5 minutes, and then see if I can't just take a knife and go around the edge to make it a little bit cleaner. So the cake is frozen. What I'm gonna try to do is just go gently in and pull off the top of this frosting where it's come over the edge, and then we'll smooth out what we can't get. We'll just try to go gently. Don't wanna pull off too much. Slides through it like butter. That's good as it is butter. Okay. Nice. Okay, perfect. Alright, so now we're gonna try to pipe on dollops. So let's see how this goes. And then, We'll add a little homemade peanut butter cup. So cute. And then we'll do a dollop peanut butter cup. And we'll do a little dollop to finish. Perfect. So there you have it. Perfect chocolate peanut butter brownie cake. For the full recipe, please visit the website. And if you happen to make it, please take a picture and send it to me. Let me know what you think. Thanks.